Top 7 Best Anime Heroes Who Became Villains. Hey guys! In this post, I'll be discussing a list of top 7 best anime heroes who became villains. How does a villain arise? Well, in the world of anime, in addition to needing a writer to come up with the story and characters, it's also important to see people's trajectory on this list. These were people who people considered good at heart. The kind that helped the old lady cross the street, delivered a sandwich to the homeless person, who would pet any puppy on the street, anyway. Everything was a bed of roses until the catastrophe happened, and the characters completely changed, losing a loved one, being betrayed by someone, having their own ideology of life tested, or simply surrendering to the evil that already existed within. That is, that force, let that evil force arise. It doesn't matter, for one reason or another these characters abandoned the good side to deal with other priorities. Well, let's go to the list. 1. Light Yagami from Death Note. In the Death Note universe we met Light, one of the most brilliant teenagers in all of Japan and who carried both a bright future and a well-structured family, a police father, a housewife mother and younger sister. An ordinary family, people like us. On a normal day like any other, a dark book ends up in the schoolyard and Light was the first one he saw. Death Note, the notebook of death that kills anyone whose name is written on any page. This book is the devil. The boy who had a great sense of justice dropped everything and saw himself as the god of the new world, and to create this new world he would need to erase everyone who didn't deserve to live in the new era. And this is the beginning of the legend of Kira. In a way Light only killed murderers, but the international police and a certain detective were on his tail, and so Light went on to not only kill criminals, but also law enforcement officers, police, detectives, civilians, whoever was there in Kira's way, he had to be exterminated. In Light's eyes, the ends justified the means, but we saw how Light was degenerating in the route until he became Kira. 2. Stain from My Hero Academia. The world of Boku no Hero Academia has to deal with people with different types of different powers. That's where the superheroes of this world came from, and believe it or not, but Stain was once one of them. But before Stain was known as the hero killer, he followed the dream of precisely being the great hero for being inspired by the number one All Might. What made him change was to see that the world was changing drastically. The heroes who worked to protect the weak and defenseless and who sacrificed themselves to the fullest in service were being replaced by people who only worked as heroes in search of money, fame, and power. Stain even took on the mantle of Stendhal as a vigilante, but the hero's corruption was too much, so the guy left the mantle as a hero and took on the role of Stain. And the good news, with the power to paralyze anyone just by licking a single drop of that person's blood and carrying so many slashing weapons, it's hard to find anyone who can go head-to-head with him who isn't either one of the top heroes or prodigies working together. 3. Gino/Kuma from Afro Samurai. Not everyone knows the Afro Samurai universe, but those who do know about the amount of disaster that rolls everywhere. The world is controlled by whoever carries the number 1 bandana, the strongest on the entire planet, while the person who carries the number 2 bandana is the only one who can challenge the number 1. But there is one but, everyone is after the number 2 to get this bandana, and in the middle of this mess is that we meet Gino. The boy lived and trained at the orphanage he lived in, and the whole story about the number 2 headband brought disaster on his life on everyone he knew. Even though he had a kind heart and took care of his sister, the bandana's curse didn't come cheap. In addition to other children at the orphanage suffering from the bandana's fate, the last thing Gino saw before falling off a cliff was Afro, the protagonist of the work, murdering their master. That was a clear betrayal in Gino's eyes, but in the story Afro's act was justified. What matters is that not only did Gino survive his injuries from the cliff fall, but the boy was repaired with cybernetic parts, and after donning a bare head he was nicknamed Kuma. The boy's life boiled down to getting to kill his old best friend to avenge the dojo and the old master. The character is very cool. If you have never seen Afro Samurai, guys, watch it. I highly recommend this anime. 4. Shinobu Sway from Yu Yu Hakusho. King. It's almost a joke to say that Yu Yu Hakusho is supernatural, because hey, practically all of Yu Yu Hakusho's work, the whole theme of the roaming world between the living and the dead. The people who are tasked with taking care of these problems are supernatural detectives, humans with the power to sense spirits and channel that inner strength to fight. One of those humans, and perhaps the greatest supernatural detective, was Sway. I'm sure you know Sway for stuffing Yusuke's face with beaks, those kicks in Yusuke's face all the time, but this character's past is completely different. The boy was born with supernatural energy beyond any human or spirit. He was a prodigy for sure, that was the Sway, hulking shell. Sway became a supernatural detective who surpassed any and all expectations, and the guy learned early on how to differentiate right from wrong, and therein lies the problem. This forced maturity made Sway have a distorted view of justice that was worsened after the Sway got his hands on the Dark Chapter tape, a film that shows the worst of humanity. This tape showed Sway that humans have all the ability in the world to do evil, even worse than the demons he killed as Detective Supernatural. So the guy stopped playing detective and started planning a way to annihilate all of humanity. Look what a turn, from unsung hero to humanity's #1 villain. 5. Obito Uchiha from Naruto Shippuden. Anime heroes. I could pick any of Naruto's greatest villains, but I think the peak of villainy Obito has reached is indisputable. The kindest-hearted member of the Uchiha clan in the entire series did the basics of any good guy. He was late to help the elderly, he hesitated to do good in any way. He had a rival who was better than him at everything, and girl he liked had more eyes for his rival. Anyway, Obito's childhood was to see his rival reaching new heights, and even so Obito wanted not only to become Hokage of Leaf, but also to be strong enough to protect Rin, his romantic interest. Well, that's where the third ninja war comes into play, and the story goes a hell of a 180. In this mission not only can Obito use the Sharingan, but his actions to save his friends doomed Obito to be buried in boulders. He was supposed to be dead, but the thick-skinned villain Madara gave the boy the chance to follow the path of evil. Of course, the good-hearted boy didn't want to know that. The guy had a good heart, Obito, but seeing rival and best friend Kakashi killing his love interest Rin was the last straw. In addition to Obito unlocking the Mangekyo Sharingan, he gave himself body and soul to achieve Madara's plans and create the infinite Tsukuyomi, which would condemn humanity into an illusion of a perfect world. It would be a matrix, right? That is it from today's video. If you do not agree with this video and have some of your own opinions, share them with us in the comments section down below. Keep visiting Voice of America for more videos about anime. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.